You must stand by your principles. Wow. Oh, you need to stand by your principles? What principle is that exactly? Okay, a person who put their neck on the line to try to save your life is not worth your vote in November because of XYZ. Those are the principles that you're referencing. You won't have a person's back who literally contributed to saving your life in a very meaningful way. That's your principle, that person doesn't deserve your loyalty. Noted. So as of this morning, Kyle Rittenhouse has become the MVP of the Harris campaign. I don't understand what is happening here. I got to be perfectly honest with you guys. This is a really challenging story for me because even though he's young, this to me is beyond the pale. I can't understand this at all. I'll tell you exactly why. Okay. Normally, I mean, at the base, it's a conservative who is, campaigning against Trump now. That's not something that's out of the ordinary. There are a lot of conservatives who do not like Trump. That is a fact. Now, this is a really important story, but first I have to show you the sponsor of this video, and I just want all my new viewers to understand I never, ever take sponsors that I do not personally use, so give these guys a look. It's an important product that'll help you. So I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Aura. How many of you guys find yourself getting a million phone calls a day from numbers you don't recognize that you're getting a spam warning for them? Sometimes, other times you answer the phone, it's just empty. You already know it's some call center with a scammer waiting to pick up your line. I like to blame someone when something befalls me like that. And in this case, it happens to be big companies failing to protect my data. Now, recently, AT&T revealed that nearly all of their customers' call and text records have been exposed in a massive data breach. And it hasn't even been a few months since they admitted over 70 million of their users' social security numbers ended up on the dark web. The stolen logs also contain a record of every number AT&T customers called or texted, so even if you don't use AT&T, if someone who texted you did, then your number has been exposed. So what can you do to protect yourself? I use Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura will alert me if they find my phone number or any other sensitive information has been compromised, and they give me fast fraud alerts if anyone tries to use that data to access my credit or bank accounts. That's not all they do to keep me safe. I also get things like transaction monitoring, a VPN, antivirus, a password manager, parental controls, and identity theft insurance. I get all of this in one app at one affordable price. I also get their AI-powered call assistant that will pick up unknown calls on my behalf to screen them for spam and scams. The AI forwards legitimate calls to me so I don't miss appointments, deliveries, and emergencies. My family is my number one priority, and I'm not leaving me or them vulnerable to data breaches. And if you don't want to either, then you can go to aura.com/JesseOnFire and try your first 2 weeks for free. Also link below in the description. Stop leaving yourself vulnerable to data breaches. Go to my sponsor, aura.com/JesseOnFire to get a 14-day free trial and see if any of your data has been exposed. It's a good thing to audit right out of the gate anyway before you even start using the actual service. Give them a look. This is a different thing though. Okay, Kyle Rittenhouse jumping on the other side from Trump, that's very, very different to me because this actually does demonstrate his character. And it is very questionable, to say the least. The only explanation you could have is that he's dumb, okay? Like, he's dumb. He's a dumb person and someone got in his ear. Because here's the deal. When we're talking about these culture war things, and obviously I'm going to tell you exactly what he's saying and why he is saying he's not going to vote for Trump. And, bear with me because, trust me, sometimes people will comment on my videos. They're all, quit talking so much and get to the point. Okay, I am at the point right now. Okay, if you're looking for why Kyle Rittenhouse is saying he's not going to vote for Trump, I promise it's very anticlimactic. The climax is the entire conversation about why it is such a massive betrayal. This is not me, talking around this is the issue. Okay, I just actually talked for 7 more minutes and about really important stuff about why Kyle Rittenhouse should be held accountable for this. However, I am just going to put in here at the beginning exactly what's happening. Kyle Rittenhouse says he's going to write in Ron Paul. Okay, he's not saying he's going to vote for Kamala Harris, saying he's going to write in Ron Paul, and the reason for that is because Trump has not been a staunch enough defender of American gun rights and Second Amendment stuff, okay? It's absurd, it's stupid, it makes no sense, and candidly, even if that were true, okay, you need to think about actions and consequences. You are a young person, Kyle Rittenhouse. You are not expected really to understand the concept that I'm saying where I say, okay, well, so you would rather someone be more firm about Second Amendment rights. And so you're saying that and you're saying I'm not going to support Trump. Okay, got it. Okay, you're a child. You don't understand how this actually works. Okay, what you are saying maybe makes sense, but you saying it and promoting the idea that people should do what you're doing is going to have an effect that maybe you haven't thought through. What do you think is going to happen? You think Ron Paul's going to win? Is that what you think is going to happen? Every vote that you pull away from Trump, because you have influence with one group, and that's Trump voters, not anyone else. And every vote that you pull away from Trump is just helping the Kamala Harris side. You think, oh, is Ron Paul going to win because you said it? No. Every vote you pull away from Trump helps the Kamala Harris side, which means that you probably got to by someone who has maybe intentions that are exactly what I just said, and you are a young, stupid person who has not thought this through. Now, the fact that that's going to be the outcome is not why he needs to be held accountable. What he needs to be held accountable for is his personal responsibility to be on the side of Donald Trump for a very specific reason. And I am going to lay that out now, and I'm going to get back to the rant that I was on before, so buckle up. It is a very rare situation where the political war, I hate even using that word, the conflict that we find ourselves in politically, that in my opinion has been intentionally blown out of proportion, but not out of proportion, has turned intentionally nasty between the two sides because the people who benefit from divide and conquer want it that way. But this is something different with Kyle Rittenhouse because it's rare when you find a person who had life and death circumstances and that came right into the culture war. Okay. Their life was on the line. Okay. Their life was on the line. Kyle Rittenhouse was on trial for murder. And if he lost the case, he was going to jail for life. And that case right there was one of those cases where I would fly off the handle on people. And the reason for that is normally if someone's just poorly informed, I don't think they're necessarily a bad person. I just think that they have bad information, right? They're just have bad information. If they're passionately talking about whatever, I think to myself, okay, well, if I genuinely believed that a white supremacist had gone to a peaceful demonstration for racial rights and then murdered a bunch of people and then people were defending him, I would be screaming at them also. So does that make the person a bad person? No, it makes them poorly informed, since that was 100% not what happened. It makes me angry that they don't do a better job getting information to know about what they're talking about, but it doesn't make me dislike them, right? But the Kyle Rittenhouse one, that was different. Okay, that was different. And I realized I kind of just gave that example as if I wasn't angry at them, but I was. And the reason is because it was a 17-year-old kid whose life was on the line. Okay, you are out there shaping public opinion and you are screaming to put this kid in prison for life. You better do your research and know that you're right. And if your only source of information is a couple articles that you read in hyper partisan periodicals, okay, I can't let that slide. I cannot let that slide. It's a kid. He's a kid. He's under 18 years old. So you better do your research and make sure that you're right. And the Kyle Rittenhouse incident, the way that the media covered it and pretending like he was a white supremacist, which was just a complete and total lie. Okay, the majority of them believed that the victims were black. It's insane when they found out that Kyle Rittenhouse was a 17-year-old lifeguard who had been asked to come there because a business had had their entire livelihood burned to the ground, by these protesters. And by protesters, I mean opportunist rioters who in most cases were not black, were pretending to care about that kind of thing so they could cause mayhem. In addition to that, Kyle Rittenhouse was there on video asking people if they needed medical assistance. He has a first aid kit because he's a certified lifeguard. He has a firearm on him because you would be insane to go into that environment absent a firearm. And he's going around asking people if they need medical help. That's what he's actually doing there. And then it turned out that one of the people that he shot, ended up being someone who had been a child victimizer in the absolute worst way, whose prison record was so crazy when you look at it. He was white. He threatened to kill Kyle Rittenhouse. He chased him down with the intent of killing Kyle Rittenhouse. And they find that out. They're all, wow, I mean, how could I have believed this other thing? You're like, because they're liars, man. Because they tricked you. They're liars. And shame on you for not knowing that. And then they see the video of the second part. They're like, oh, okay, so he was getting beaten with a skateboard. The other guy put a gun to his head. And they're like, oh, wow, okay, so maybe these crazies that I thought were crazy aren't so crazy when they tell me that my source of information are outright liars, right? And so when Rittenhouse was on trial for his life, I was screaming at people about this, really screaming if they were arguing hard against it, because I knew they didn't know what they were talking about, and they were advocating for this poor kid to go to prison forever. And again, one of my biggest problems when I have conversations like this with people on either side is when they talk about these incidents as if there are not real people involved. I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. And I promise we are going to go through this article, but this is the more important part. Okay. When you are on Twitter or you are, making videos and you are yelling that you want X to happen, and what you're saying you want to happen is a kid who went somewhere to help, and you want them to get locked in a box with a bunch of career criminals under a multiple murder one charges. Where do you think they house a guy like that? Where do you think he goes? He goes to hell on earth. Okay? You want him to do that for life, right? He's a real person. He is a real person. People just get into these arguments. They lack all forms of empathy. I do not. I look at these stories and I go, that's a real person. And so if I'm going to advocate for someone having that outcome, I'm going to be certain that that is what they deserve. Okay? And so it's unbelievable to me sometimes these people who generally are on the other side, people who believe, I won't get other side of what I normally believe, who are advocating for draconian consequences for people. When you look at what they say and then you look at how they justify it, they are completely lacking self-awareness. You think you're the humanitarian. You're the humanitarian. You're the one that wished that Trump had gotten shot in the head. You wish that bullet would have killed Trump on national television. So his family would have to watch his head blow up and all of his support. Everybody in the world would have to see him die violently. That's what you wish happened. You're the humanitarian. You really believe that? You're the one that's advocating for this kid to get locked in a tiny little jail cell for the rest of his life. And you don't know anything accurate about the case. As a matter of fact, every single thing you know about it is wrong. You're the humanitarian. You really believe that? And they do. They really believe that. Okay. So in the middle of that situation, obviously the people who were on our side, and I hate even getting into the sides thing, but we were the ones that were trying to protect him from this terrible outcome. And you know what Trump did? Trump had his back. Trump 100% had his back. Trump did everything that he could publicly to shape public opinion so that he would get acquitted of this crime and get acquitted publicly so everyone would know the truth of what happened. That's what Trump did. Okay? Now, I don't know how you guys measure how you're supposed to feel about this person or that person, but if I have my life on the line, okay, people are trying to literally take my life from me, and someone stands up for me, someone in a position like that stands up for me, and then puts their neck on the line and defends me and galvanizes a very, very, very large group of people to defend me, okay? My loyalty to that person is absolutely unbreakable. You will never be able to break my bond with that person. It's not possible. I will always have that guy's back, no matter what, or girl. I'll have their back no matter what. You could strap me to a chair and start hurting me. I'm not going to betray that person because they had my back in my time of need. So Kyle Rittenhouse, how could you do this? How could you do this? He had your back, dude. Did Ron Paul have your back? I don't know, but I doubt it would have been as impactful as him having your back. And now you're out campaigning against him weeks after they tried to shoot him in the head on national television. Okay, I don't just I'm hyperbolic in my titles and thumbnails, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to put the word Judas on my thumbnail. I don't make religious, references very often. And I don't pretend to be someone who is very staunchly into any of that, in terms of I don't know how else to properly communicate how I see what you're doing. It is an incredible decision to me. I don't understand. How could you, how are you rectifying this in your own mind? How does this make sense to you? Trump had your back. Your life was on the line. If Trump decided to not talk about it, or if Trump decided to say, listen, we need to hold this kid accountable, you are finished, dude. He can shape public opinion. He could have buried you. He could have ignored it. He did the exact opposite and had your back. I'm trying not to like say anything too nasty about him because I realize he's a kid, and when I say things that I do believe in the fact that like this person's a kid. Same reason why I was like, you cannot just be yelling about him going to prison for life without knowing. I still look at him like a kid, but this is a rough one for me, dude. This is a level of disloyalty I can't get behind at all. Okay, so Kyle Rittenhouse says he will not vote for Trump November 5th. The Illinois gunman who was acquitted on all charges after fatally shooting 2 people and wounding a third. Okay, so the first person that he shot and killed, for the record, was a convicted child. What's a way that I could put this without destroying the video and then also being too graphic? When you are a grown-up man and you used to go get a physical and the doctor had to check your prostate, how did that go? So what would you think of an adult that held a child down and did that to them with their genitalia? Okay, because that's what that guy was. Convicted. Multiple time convicted person that would do that to a kid. And then went to jail. And when you read his list of violent assaults in prison, this guy was an arch criminal. And on video, points in Rittenhouse's face and says, I'm going to kill you. And then on video, chases him down. Like, if anybody deserves to get whacked in self-defense, if you're babyface Kyle Rittenhouse, it's that guy. So that's the first one. And then on video, the second one, the next guy he shoots, dude comes up with his skateboard, metal trucks on it, basically a baseball bat, swings it to hit him in the face. That guy goes down. And then the third guy who got wounded put a gun directly to Rittenhouse's head. So Rittenhouse not supposed to shoot that guy? Which of those guys is he supposed to not use deadly force with? And then you go watch his interrogation afterwards, and he's hysterically crying. The kid can't even breathe. He can't even breathe. And all the good guys, when they see his testimony where he breaks down on the stand, they meme it, because he's crying, can't breathe, whether he's acting or not. His life's on the line. Something you would not understand, any of you that meme that. During a George Floyd protest in Kenosha, Wisconsin, in August 2020, plans to write in a candidate for president of the United States. Speaking of things that people talk about, they have no idea what they're talking about. On his X account, he shared a video revealing his plans to cast a ballot for the former Texas Congressman Ron Paul instead of the Republican candidate. A lot of people are upset that I said I'm going to be writing in Ron Paul for president of the United States, and that is true. I will be writing in Ron Paul. The 21-year-old confirmed in the post captioned, "You must stand by your principles." Wow. Oh, you need to stand by your principles? Stand by your principles? What principle is that exactly? Okay, a person who put their neck on the line to try to save your life is not worth your vote in November because of X, Y, Z. Those are the principles that you're referencing. You won't have a person's back who literally contributed to saving your life in a very meaningful way. That's your principle, that person doesn't deserve your loyalty. Noted. Okay. Unfortunately, Donald Trump had bad advisors making him bad on the Second Amendment, and that is my issue. Be specific. Be specific. What did he do? Rittenhouse, who referred to himself as outreach director for Texas gun rights, added, "If you cannot be completely uncompromisable on the Second Amendment, I will not vote for you. I will write in somebody else. We need champions of the Second Amendment, or our rights will be eaten away and eroded each day. I support my decision, and I have no takebacks." You are an idiot. I'm sorry. That is what you are. You're dumb, dude. Okay? Because what you're going to do right now is you are going to write in, Ron Paul, and anyone who follows your lead is just helping Kamala Harris get elected. How do you think she's going to be on gun rights? Smart guy. Do you think that through? If you really have actual conservatives who care about gun rights advising you about this decision, then I am sorry. I am going to speak to all of you at once. You guys are dumb. Dumb. Do you really not understand what I'm saying? This is not rocket science. Okay? If we had true, open, democratic elections, do you think Kamala Harris would be the candidate? Obviously not. And I'm not just talking about what they did with Joe Biden. How do you think they would actually do against RFK if he was given the exact same treatment as them and you had a true, situation where they could go up and speak about issues and there's no one slandering one side constantly or the other. You literally just get to sit there and listen to the two of them talk. And if you don't know how that would go, it could only mean that you've never listened to RFK talk, because he would there would be an avalanche on his side, and she would have no chance. Absolutely none. Neither would any of the other Democratic candidates. That's why they have to block him out and call him crazy. So your situation is you operate in the system that you have. Your choices are Trump or Kamala. If you think that that's not true, then you are trying to live in a world that you do not actually live in. This is the world we have. So what you're doing is you are advocating for Kamala Harris. How's she going to be on the Second Amendment, smart guy? Think about that. Unbelievable, dude. And not to mention, again, this is I got nothing else to say on this. That's all I got.